facilitator here at Datakliq. Please, can you confirm you can see my screen? Please, can you see my screen? Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
okay. So, like I said, my name is Follow Jela. I'm a data analyst at Teaching Technology. Also one of the coordinators and facilitator here at Datakliq Educational Hub. I have experience and certification in a lot of Microsoft's product like Power Platform, certified data analyst in Power BI, certified data analytics engineer in Microsoft Fabric, and also an associate database as well. I have over 3 years of experience working as a business intelligence in different sectors. I've worked on oil and gas, financial sectors, and some other projects that I've done collaborative with people, whether in tech or not tech. And yeah, so I've done that. And when it comes to training, I think I have strength in training a lot. I've trained over 2,000 participants. That is not an exaggerated number. This is the 6th cohorts that Datakliq is organizing for people. And over the years, I've been part of facilitator that facilitated this section for more than 2-3 years now. And we have done it for 6 times. And this is the 6th time. So you can imagine the number of people that I have done this for. So this is not the first time. Also, I have so apart from the community service, I also train organization-wide where I work. We do training there, and I've also facilitated some of this training over there. So when it comes to solutions, I've built solutions where I work in financial sectors. I work in several banks, Eco Bank, Access Bank, and some other banks, even oil and gas as well. So I have experience in those sectors as well. Like I said, I'm also part of the co-organizers of Datakliq Educational Hub. So that's a brief introduction about myself. That's a brief introduction about myself. Okay, so you can follow me on LinkedIn in case you haven't followed me. I will try and drop my link. You can follow me on LinkedIn. And you can also follow me on Twitter as well. So you can follow me on LinkedIn and you can also follow me on Twitter. So I will drop my LinkedIn link in case you're not following. In case you're not following me on LinkedIn. So I will drop my LinkedIn link so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, you can connect with me via LinkedIn. Okay, so so today we are going to be talking about SQL today. So I'm not the only person that is going to take you SQL. In fact, after today's section, you might not see me again until some other section, maybe after a week or 2 weeks. That's when you will see me again. So I'm just going to take this section, then I will hand over the next section and some other section to my senior colleagues, and that will take over from me. So please, the number is still not encouraging. I'm not really happy with this number. So please, let's encourage people to join the call, please. If not, we might not have class tomorrow. Maybe we'll just tell you guys to go and watch previous record. If we are not up to 100, if the number did not get up to 100 before the end of the section, I will just tell my co-presenter that it's better for us to just recommend videos for you guys, because you guys are not joining this section. And it's not encouraging at all. So please, let's encourage others to join. Yeah. Okay, so like I said, the SQL part is I'm not the only one taking you the SQL. So my other colleagues, which we have already encountered with him, we have an encounter with him already, will take you this other part of the SQL as well. But I'll also join you guys later on, maybe at the concluding part of it. Yeah. Okay, so Eric, your hand is up. I think you have raised your hand like twice now. So Is there any question before we proceed? So like you can give Eric the mic. Or you can drop your question in case just to save
Good
our
morning,
time.
sir.
Eric, you can talk now.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
good
please go on.
morning.
Please go on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Eric.
Good morning, Sir Florencio. I just wanted to ask, okay, for me, I'm using because I know SQL is a Microsoft software. Like, yes, for me, I'm using an Apple, like I'm using a MacBook. I've been trying
Okay.
to, I've been finding it difficult, like difficult, seriously. So I had to go to Stack Overflow and everything. So is there a way out? Is there a way out, please? Yes, yeah.
Oh, sorry, hold on. Give me a second. Okay, so the question about the installation is that you might not necessarily need to use SQL Server. You can use another RDBMS. So it's not necessary you use it, but SQL Server is just what we recommend, but it's not compulsory you use it. Yeah. So that's the alternative solution. You
If,
can download Postgres
because of
or what did he say?
even I said even because of visualization, I had to go learn Tableau instead of Power BI because
Oh.
it's still not. So those two stuff.
Yeah,
So those
yes. So Microsoft, Microsoft is an organization on its own, and if you want to use anything Microsoft, you have at least you just try. If you can, I don't know, if you are rich, you can get a Windows
I'm not rich.
software.
Oh. I'm not rich.
You are using Mac now. You are rich now. Which one is you are not
It's
rich?
that too. It's that. It's inheritance. Inheritance.
Oh, it's
Oh.
fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Ah,
So probably if you want to do anything Microsoft, probably you have to use Windows. You can use Mac as well, but what you will do is going to be a longer route because you have to be partitioning your laptop, your system, or probably download the virtual machine. So once you download the virtual machine, install Windows on that virtual machine, then I think all these things should work inside the virtual machine. But it's a long route. But if you cannot get a Windows system, you just have to partition your laptop. So that's the case. Okay. Yeah, so let's continue. We have a lot to cover today. So we have not even started the class. Ramat, your hand is up as well. So please, I think this is the last person I will take before we start the class. Okay, Ramat, you can go on.
Hello. Good
Yeah, good
morning.
morning.
Thank you. I
You're
have a
welcome.
question concerning the installation of the SQL because
Okay,
they have downloaded the server and the management studio as well. But my
okay.
system is connected to my workplace server. So I want to know if I will have, I mean, while working, maybe I have some restriction or something. I'm not sure about it.
Your system is connected to what?
To my office server, I mean, my workplace server.
Okay. I really did not get what you mean by your system connected to your office server. But
Yes,
maybe
like
after the
before I
call
can do
we
anything,
can.
like I can install any app on my system. I have option of
Oh,
it.
okay.
You have
Oh,
to
you're not using your
like
personal. I
access
get
me.
it.
Yes, yes,
System, right?
yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. Most of some organizations always have restriction for installation. So
Oh,
just try if you have a personal laptop, use your personal laptop to do that. Most organizations do not allow you to. Don't you, I won't even advise you to do the installation yourself because I know someone that went to go and do an installation on office laptop and they gave the person a query. So please, before you do any installation, reach out to your organization so that you not go and get query. Eh? Or the best thing
okay,
you can do is to use your personal laptop. If you have personal laptop or a friend
that's
laptop that you can
the
use. So
issue. I
make
don't
sure
have
that
personal laptop, and also the query part. I am not getting any query about it.
you're not
Like
getting.
I've
It's fine.
downloaded
Just
and
reach out to
installed it.
your okay. Just reach out to your IT team to help you, or you can reach out to me after the call to look at it. So let's start.
Okay,
I
alright.
won't entertain any other question again. So please let's start the class. Okay. All right. Okay, so what are we doing today? And I believe everybody knows that we are we are talking about SQL already. Okay, so let's dive into our section today. So please confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, you can see your screen.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so let me just use the normal. Sorry, I'll just use the normal screen here. This thing is not. Fine. Okay, so good morning, everyone, once again. So today we'll be talking about SQL and how DBMS. So what is SQL? SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and it's a computer language that was used to interact with relational database. SQL is a tool for organizing, managing, and retrieving archive data from a computer database. The original name was given by IBM as Structured English Query Language, abbreviated by the acronym SQL. When data needs to be retrieved from a database, SQL is used to make the request. The DBMS processes the SQL query, retrieve the requested data, and return it to us. Rather, SQL statements describe how a collection of data should be organized or what should be extracted or added to the database. In common usage, SQL encompasses DDL, DML, TML command, create, update, modify, and some other things. Now, what is this whole story all about? So SQL is known as structured query language, and the name was given by an IBM, that's International Business, IBM company, is one of these top company, you know, before. Yeah. So, and one thing about how SQL is that you can only use SQL in a relational database management system. What did I say? We can only use what SQL in a relational database management system. That is the only place we can use SQL. And that is the only place SQL can be understand, right? In a relational database management system. Now, we also have the major functions of SQL. So basically, I will just give us in a short the four functions of SQL. The fourth function of SQL is actually four. The first one is create, update, delete, and read. So you can call it CRUD, C-R-U-D. Create, read, update, and delete. That is the major four function of SQL. Everything that you want to know within SQL is within that four function. Create, update, delete, and read. That is just everything that you need to know. And when we talk about SQL, what is SQL? SQL is just like English language. You don't need to stress yourself with SQL. It's just a purely English. Just that there is a structural way you have to write the English. You must write it correctly, the way they have programmed it, and there are standard to way you can write your SQL. Just like the way we have standard practice for everything, we have standard practice in SQL language. Like I said, SQL is just a language, a database language. When you said English is a language, English cannot be, it is not all country they speak English. There are some country that is specific for English speaking country. Like Nigeria here, we are English speaking country, US, UK, European countries, they are English speaking country. If you go to some countries like Spanish, like maybe some country that speak other languages like Portuguese, Spanish, and all, you see that their own system, what they use to communicate is also different. Now, when you say SQL, SQL can only be understand, or it can only be used in what? In a relational database management system that has been created to understand the language, right? So you need to understand those parts. Now, what is RDBMS? RDBMS stands for what? Relational Database Management System, and it is a type of database management system that is what? Relational in model. How DBMS data is stored in tables where each consists of what? Rows and column, and relationship between tables are established using keys. Now, when you talk about how DBMS is what? Relational database management system. Now, there is a system that we call the database itself. There is a system called the relational database management system. Now, you will have heard of different how DBMS, the database management system. You will have heard of different management system. Now, let me ask you a question now. Which of these how DBMS are you guys told to download? Anybody? Which of the RDBMS are you guys told to download? You can just drop your what's that? Okay, someone is trying to say SQL. Is it SQL?
Microsoft
Anybody?
SQL.
Microsoft SQL. Okay, yeah. Thank you. So that we will not waste most of our time. SSMS, good. Yeah, okay, yeah, SSMS. Okay, so now, yes, someone said on my screen. Okay, let me see if I can. Let's see if I can zoom it. Okay, I think, is it better now? Oh, sorry, so please, let's just continue. Let's manage it like this for now because of time. Now, the how DBMS we are introduced to download is SSMS, which is SQL Server Management Studio. That is one of the how DBMS, one of the most popular how DBMS. Now, we have different RDBMS like what? Oracle database, MySQL, Postgres, SQL, different access, we have different RDBMS, the relational database management system that you can write SQL within them. Now, don't be confused. SQL is not RDBMS. Don't mistake RDBMS for SQL. SQL is just a language that you can write in each of these RDBMS that I have listed earlier. It's just like saying that English language, where can you speak English, or which country is officially English speaking country? Nigeria, America, US, and all the likes. That is exactly what we are saying here. Now, when you say SQL is a language on its own. So when someone asks you that, okay, where can you write SQL? Okay, we can write it in a relational database management system like my SQL, Postgres, Oracle, Access, SQL Server, SQL Server Management Studio, which we are actually using. So those are the different RDBMS that we can actually. Now, there's something important that I want you to also know is that we also have NoSQL. There is something called NoSQL, because when it comes to SQL, or when it comes to RDBMS can only take a structured data. When I say structured data, a data that is what is in rows and column. If your data is not in rows and column, it can't be stored in a relational database management system. It cannot be stored in all these listed database management systems that I have listed. But let's say that you have a mixture of unstructured data and a mixture of structured data. So where do you want to store those kind of data? Now, there is another system called NoSQL. So it contains a mixture of unstructured and structured data. So we have a system called NoSQL, and that system we have different systems for that one as well. One of the systems that we have is MongoDB. We have MongoDB. We have CosmoDB. We have MariaDB. You guys can go and do more research on those NoSQL database management system, but the most popular one is MariaDB, MongoDB, and CosmoDB. Then they have other ones. Those are different type of database management system that they are not exactly structured data. They are not exactly structured. But the one that are structured are what? Oracle, MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server, Postgres. We have a lot of them as well, more than the one that I listed here. So those are the type of SQL that you need to be aware of. So okay, so let's move on. So the next thing that we'll talk about is the uses of SQL and the rules. There are several rules that are guiding SQL that you need to be aware of, and there are uses of SQL. I already told us the functions of SQL. Does anybody remember the functions of SQL that I mentioned earlier? Anyone? What are the functions of SQL that I mentioned earlier? I mentioned 4 functions of SQL. What are the 4 functions of SQL that I mentioned earlier? Anybody? Okay, to create, fine. Christopher, updates.
Create,
Okay, good.
update,
All right.
delete.
All right, good. Thank you, guys. It shows that you guys are following. Now, I have already said that the major, when it comes to uses of SQL, I will just abbreviate it to 4 things: create, update, delete, and what? And read. Those are the 4 things that we use SQL to do. Now, we have data definition, data retrieval, data manipulation, access control, data sharing. All these things falls under the 4 functions of SQL. Then we also have some rules. Because of time, I won't be able to go through all these rules. So please make sure that maybe I will share the slide with you guys. You guys can follow, go through the slide and read more, or get you more materials that you can read to read more about SQL. There are some salient rules that you need to follow whenever you are writing your SQL. But once we start the practical part of it, I'll also show you some of these rules that you need to also follow. When it comes to SQL, identifier can contain up to 30 character. Identifier must start with an alphabetical character. Character and date literally must be enclosed with single quotes. Number literally can be represented by symbol value. All these things have the simple, salient rules that you need to also make sure that you follow. In some how DBMS, like MySQL, if you do not put a semicolon at the end of your SQL statement, it will not execute. So those are the salient rules that you might need to pay attention to. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Now, let's go to the commands of SQL. Please, this part, let's pay attention. Please, I'm begging us. If you are distracted, maybe your brother is disturbing you, or your kid is disturbing you at the moment, please, let's pay attention at this part. Or if your phone is disturbing you, please, let's pay attention. Now, we have 4 major commands of SQL. What did I say? We have 4 major types of commands of SQL. We have the data definition language, we have the data manipulation language, we have the data control language, and we have the transactional control language. Now, as a data analyst, in most cases or in most scenarios, you will only work with data manipulation language. You will rarely work with every other commands that I have listed here. But it is very, very important that you know how to use them, or what they are doing, so that when they are asking, maybe when you go for interviews, you'll not be confused with what a data definition language is and what a data manipulation language is. They are not the same, and they are not used for the same purposes, right? Now, what is data definition language? Data definition language is what we use to create our database structure. What did I say? Data definition language is those are the kind of commands that we use to create our database structure. When we talk about structure, we talk about database, we talk about tables, we talk about views, we talk about schemas, in our database, right? Different objects that we have. We talk about what? Talk about procedure, functions, and different things, objects in our data, we use the data definition language to do that. And when we say data definition, what are the commands under the data definition language? We have the create, the alter statement, the drop statement, the truncate statement, the rename statement. Those are the definition, those are the command that falls under what? Data definition language. Now, under the data manipulation language is when you already have your existing database, you already have the structure. Now you want to modify the data, right? You want to modify the data, you want to update the record. Now, what language or what command do you use to do that? We use the data manipulation language to do that, which fall under, which is what? Select, insert, update, and delete. Those are the commands that fall under what? Data manipulation language. We use it to update our data. We use it to modify our record once we have created those, those data structure already. Now, the next one is the data control language. Data control language involves grant and revoke. Now, what is grant? What is revoke? So, in a database management system, we don't just give anybody access to a database. You can give access to people based on their levels of expertise or experience. For example, I know that most people here, not everybody, because some people here know SQL. This is not their first time of learning SQL. Some people have learned this thing in different courses. They are just retaking the classes all over again, right? Now, so different levels of experiences are here, right? Now, when it comes to grants and revoke, so grants means that, when you create a database, so normally in an ideal organization, you are not the one that will create a database. A database is mostly created by what? By a database administrator. A database administrator will have set up the environment for you. The only thing that you just come and do is to come and be working as a data analyst to come and, manipulate the data, or probably come and retrieve data from the database. That is what you'll be doing, right? Now, in a setting like when there is a database administrator that have done the setting, maybe they want you to come and be able to read a database. They need to grant you an access. It's like, oh, okay, Ramat, right? Okay, Ramat, let's grant Ramat access to this database. Now, when you say grant, what kind of grant, what kind of access or control am I giving to Ramat? Maybe Ramat is a senior, is a senior developer. I know Ramat has an experience, right? I can give Ramat an access to read the database, or to read and write into the database, meaning that when you say read and write, it means that Ramat can what? Can write, it can edit, it can do some manipulation, some stuff. But if I only give Ramat read access, it means that Ramat cannot what? It cannot write anything, cannot edit anything. The only thing Ramat can just do is what? Is to query the database. It cannot do anything. So now when I'm giving access to Ramat, I need to understand what kind of access I'm giving to her. Am I giving her an admin access? Am I giving her a contributor access? Am I giving her a read access alone? Am I giving her a write access alone? You understand? So you need to understand what kind of access you are giving to such person. For example, now let's assume that maybe someone that's a beginner, I give her an admin access. Admin access have everything that it can do on the database. It can delete, it can drop, it can do anything. Now, let's say that maybe, for example, you are an intern in Access Bank. Just use Access Bank for an example, and they now give you access to their database. So maybe after today's class, we taught you how to use drop statements, and you as a beginner, you now say, okay, let me go and try this statement that I'll just learn in Datakliq. Drop. They say, okay, drop can drop the database. Now, because they are giving you an access to drop a database, or an admin access, because admin can do anything, you now went to the company database, their customer database. You now say, oh, select. You now say drop database customer from Access Bank. You drop all their customer database. Do you know what you have committed? You have dropped every, and that means that you have deleted the entire company database. Meaning that no matter what, if the company does not have a backup of that same database somewhere else, it means that you have lost the entire company record. If a customer comes to the office on Monday and said, oh, please, I'm looking, I made a transaction and I cannot see my fund or something happened, and you cannot track that customer because an intern have dropped the database. Do you know what the implication of that to the company? So it's going to cost that company a lot of money to even start thinking of what's next to do. So that is why, grant is very, very important. You don't just grant anybody access to a database. It has to be based on, experiences, based on the need. It's not just about experience now. It's even what you need to do with the database. So please, I hope you guys understand what grant is now. Now, when it comes to revoke means that I have granted an access before. I'm taking back my access. Maybe you work in Access Bank. Now you are leaving Access Bank. You are no longer our staff again. You don't have anything to do with the database. I'm taking back my access. So we use revoke to revoke your access. I think that is as simple as ABC. Now we have the TCL. TCL is what? Transaction Control Language. In SQL, there is nothing like Control Z. Once you drop a database, it is gone forever, unless you have a backup somewhere. There's nothing like Control Z in database. Maybe in Excel, you do something, you delete something, and you say, oh, Control Z to come back. There's nothing like that. You understand? So, but in SQL Server, and I think in some other RDBMS, they might also have it. They have something called TCL. TCL is what? Transaction Control Language. It helps you to control what you do. If you made a mistake, you can roll back to what you have done in the past. But don't forget, there's no Control Z. It is only when you initiate the transaction that, oh, I want to initiate this transaction from the beginning. You want to say, okay, please commit back to what I've done in the past. That is only when this thing can happen. You can roll back to what you have done in the past. If not, if you did not initiate the TCL from the beginning of your transaction, because any line of code that you are executing is called transaction. So if you do not initiate the TCL from the beginning of your script or your code when you are writing it, you cannot roll back. You cannot go back to your previous tasks that you have done. And I hope this explanation of SQL commands is well understood. I hope you guys understand. So we also have DKL. DKL is data query language, and the only command or the only syntax under that is select. Select is the only thing under the DKL, which is data query language. You can also find it under the DML as well. So please, let's pay attention to that. So because of time, we need to move fast. Let me see if there's question. There's no question, then move on. Is there any question? Okay, no question. Okay, so let's move on. All right. So now the next thing we'll be looking at is our database. What is a database? In a simple language, I always tell people that, see, SQL is not hard. It's just what? English. And once you can understand English very well, you don't have any problem with database. See, in fact, let me tell us, just see database as a continuation of Excel. I believe everybody knows Excel. Even SQL is as a result of limitation of Excel that brought in SQL. Because if you look at your Excel, Excel can only contain about, it can only contain about 1 million and some, some rows. When it comes to the sheets, it can only contain about, it can't even take up to 1.2 million rows. Your Excel will start lagging. You understand? As a result of the limitation of what Excel have, that is what brought in database. Because companies like financial institutions, they cannot continue creating multiple pages, multiple sheets. You understand? They cannot continue creating like almost hundreds of sheets because they want to store information. And that is what brought in a database system that can contain millions of data, close to a trillion, close to a billions of data at a go. Though SQL also have its own limitation. So don't say that, so that you don't say that SQL is the alpha of everything. No, it also has its own limitation, and that's where Python also comes in, for faster data manipulation and data processing, because Python is more efficient than SQL as well. So, but we are not doing Python today. Our focus is SQL. Now, what is a database? Let's say, I would say a database is just like a folder. I believe everybody knows a folder, right? We all know what a folder is. What is a folder? Can anybody tell us what a folder is? Anyone? What is a folder? When you say folder, what is a folder? You can go on Ramat. You have the floor.
Okay, a folder is certainly some kind of a place where other documents are kept. I mean, you can have a folder of comprises of the list, category, and other products. I mean, a special, I mean, each document, collection of documents in one place.
Collection of documents in one place. So that, I think I will just take that last word for it. A folder is a collection of what? Is a collection of related data. So that's why I said that a database is exactly like a folder. When you say database, see, database is just a big word. There are some people who say, database. What they are saying is just a folder. But you don't want to call it a folder for you so that you get more confused. But a database is like a folder where you store what? Related information. You only store in a folder, you only store what? Related information in a folder. The same thing with a database system. When you create a database, you only store related information inside that database. And in an RDBMS, or what they call a data warehousing, you can have different database that have different, use cases. For example, now maybe I work in Access Bank, or maybe I don't know why I'm using Access Bank as actually. So let's assume that I work in the financial sector, right? And maybe maybe in the financial sector you can have different departments. You can have marketing department, accounting department, you can have finance department, different department. Now, as a data analyst, or database administrator, you can create multiple database for this department. Now, when you are okay, maybe I created a department now, finance department, marketing department. Now, when you are putting information in those departments, it has to be related together. Now, when you are now creating related table, there must be something connecting these tables together, which is called what? A key, which is very, very important. By the time you keep on going, in your journey, you start understanding when you say key, we have the primary keys and the foreign key, which will be later talk to you later on. Now, a database is a what? It's a collection of data, information that is stored, modified, and transmitted. For example, we have a student database. Inside the student database, we have information about that student, payment of that student, and grade of that student. Inside the student database, we have personal information. When you enter university, I believe everybody here have gone through one level of education. You understand? At least we have all gone through secondary school, primary school, or any other institution. Now, when you go to school, the first thing they first do is what? They first do your information. You do registration, right? When you are doing registration, do you know what they are doing? They are collecting your information and they are storing it in what? In what they in the students, like they have in some school have LMS, which they call the learning management system, right? In the learning management system, they have student information. They have a database that they store student information. When they want to look for a particular information about a student, they go into that database and retrieve that information. Now, they have also another system called payment. Maybe, okay, they want to know whether this student has paid or not. They are not going to store information of payment in the student information system. No, they are going to create another system that they are going to be storing the payment, or the money that all the students have paid inside. Then another thing is the grade. Maybe from your year 1 to year 3, they have another system that they store what? Your score inside it. Your grade, okay, in level 1, this is your score. In your level 2, this is your score. But something that is important is that this different system must be related. There must be something common between this system that we have created. We have 3 systems that we are creating now: the information system, which is the student information, the payment platform, and the grade platform. There must be something related within these 3 systems. Because if I want to look for information of a student, I go to the student database and retrieve it. Now, what if I want to look for the payment? Which student make a particular payment? How did I want to know about it? There is no way. If there is no relationship between the student system and the payment system, so there must be something connecting them together. The same thing with the grade system. How did I know that, okay, this student have this particular grade or not? There must be something connecting them together. So as you continue your journey, you will know what is connecting them and what is not connecting the dots later on. So let's quickly look at. So we will before we end today's session, we'll create a database. We'll do some data definition and some data, mostly data definition and all, before we end today's session. So let's move on to the next slide. Let's move to the next slide. So now the next slide talks about data types in SQL. Please, this is very, very important. I know in your Excel class, you might not take data type very serious in Excel class, or maybe you have done this training before in some other places and they are just coming back to play refresh. Now I am telling you that SQL data types, it is very, very important and essential, especially if you are doing data definition language, right? If you are doing data definition language, it is very, very important. Now, we have different types of data types. We have integers, varchar, date, decimal, boolean, char. We have different types of them. Different types of them. Different type of them. Now, when do you use an integer? When should you use a varchar? When should you use a date? When should you use a decimal? You need to know when to use these different type of data. Even integer, we have different type of integer. We have big int, we have small int. You need to know, we have tiny integer as well. You need to know when to use this type of data type. So because of time, I may not be able to cover all this. So it's an assignment for you to go and do your research. Learn about what are the functionality of all these data types. And it is very, very important that you know them. You know when to use them, right? So please pay attention to that. Now, I will just briefly explain some few ones like integer, because they are the most common one. Integer is like a number, yeah, a whole number. When you are talking about whole number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Those are integer. Now, like I said, we have different type of integer as well, like tiny int, big int. You need to know, for example, now maybe you want to store a database in a database of system that is going to run to millions or run to billions. Now, if your database is running to millions or running to billions, you cannot give that data type an integer. It is going to run to a billion. So you have to use what? Big int. That's what you define that data type as. You understand? When you are, maybe you want to create a database that has to do with maybe full name, maybe with a customer name, you can use varchar. So that is when you use a varchar because it contains character. Do you understand? When it contains string, when you say string, so we use varchar for that. Then we have date, anything that has to do with date, we use date data type. Then decimal. When you want to store something like 20.5, you use decimal. You can't use an integer in that part. So that's why I say that data type is very, very important in this, in SQL. We also have boolean when you want to store whether it is true or false. Then we also have char. Char is used to store a fixed decimal number. Maybe, for example, now I want to say gender, and I want to say female and male. Female has how many character? 1 character. Male has how many character? 1 character. So in that column, I can say that that column should be stored as what? Char, because I can tell it that it is just only one character I want in that column, right? So it's a specific, it's a fixed data type. So please, let's try and go through the data type. They are very, very important and all. So now let's start to do some demonstration and do some practical parts so that we not just be talk. It's almost an hour now. So we have just 1 hour to explain now. Let's go into the system and let's see in practice what all these things that we're talking about. Any question before we move on to the practice session? Any question? Any question? Any question? Okay, Piper or Pipa?
Yeah, good morning. Please, can you
Good morning.
just briefly explain that integer? I really want to know the big and small integer. Like you said, there are times we use the big, times we use the small.
Okay, so when you say I don't know whether I can have, let me quickly check. I'm coming. Let's go to Chrome. Let's say SQL data types. I hope it's released. I want data type. So I want to see if I can see a list of data types. I'll be able to get it. No. Okay. So let's use it. So if you come to this documentation here, you will see different integer. All these fall under they fall under integer, though. Like I said, decimal, float, money, numeric, small money, all of them are categorized as integer. Okay, we have floats differently. We have float and different. So now we have tiny int, small int, and integer. Now let's go to tiny int. So when you say tiny int, right? So you say that good. This is exactly what I want. Yeah, this is exactly what I want. Now, when you say tiny int are what? 0 to 255. Meaning that if the number in that table is more than 255, right? When they say 255, what does it mean? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When you say you have a row and it's more than 255, then it is no longer a tiny int. When you say small int, it is between what? So that should be between, I don't understand what they mean by minus to positive here. But anyway, the last digit here for small int has to be what? 32,767. That is the range. When they say integer, the last for integer is almost too much. So it is between 1 and I think it's about billions. Yeah. So this is where this one ends. But when you are now running to trillions, right? When you are running to trillions, use what? Big int. Use big int now. Now, let me tell you, most of the time, people use integer. That is what most people use most of the time. But for example, now, let's say that, you don't just use data types anyhow. Because of what? Because of database optimization. See, in a database that you're supposed to use small int, if you go and use integer, that database, when it comes to optimization, it will not have it will be, how will I say it? The response time of that database will be slow. For example, now maybe you have a dimension table that contains just, let's say, 10,000 record, or let's say 5,000 record, and that 5,000 record in 10 years time, it is not sure that this database is going to increase. Why not leave it as a small int? Why are you using integer in that place? Because when it comes to optimization, when it comes to database, when you are executing the database, it will not run faster. Because you see all these tiny int, small int, they will run faster than what? That integer or that big int. Do you understand? I won't say more than that. We're not talking about optimization, but I hope you understand the difference between the data types now. Do you understand?
Thank you.
All right, okay. Any other question before we move on? One more question. One more question. Okay, I guess there is no question. Some people are saying my network is well, I hope you guys can see my screen. Please, if you have, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, okay. All right. Okay, so let's move on then. So now let's try to move on to the practical parts. So let's try to demonstrate what a database is and some other things that I've said earlier. Now, for the very first time, if this is your very first time you are working with SSMS, so SSMS is just like every other RDBMS that we all know, like Postgres, MySQL, and Oracle, and all. Even you can even write SQL in some cloud environment like Snowflake, BigQuery, AWS, and all. It's still the same SQL. So your knowledge of see now, let me tell you something, because some people now they will not know. They will be running here and there, thinking that oh, it is not the same thing. Some people will learn SQL with Postgres. They will think that they don't know SQL. Some people will learn SQL with SSMS. They will think that they don't know SQL. Some people will learn SQL with MySQL. They will think that they don't know SQL because of the RDBMS that was introduced to them. Now that is a lie. SQL is SQL. It's just like saying that English is English. You can go to UK tomorrow with your English, even if your English is not British English. The most important thing is that you can communicate. People can hear you clearly. Now, that is one. Now, when you get to a particular country and you need to see how things are working there, this is how they speak their own English. You now started, okay. This is how they say this thing. Okay, let me learn how they say it in that country. If you go to US, they also have what American English, isn't it? Right? When you go to Americans, you say, this is not how they speak. The way they speak English in the British is different from the way they speak it in America. Okay, I want to start learning the way they speak it in America. Right? Now, if you now come to Nigeria, we also have our own English called what? Pidgin English. We also, okay, the English in British and US is different. Now, in Nigeria, it be like they have a mix of British, American, and their own English. They mix it together. You have to start learning how they speak the English in Nigeria, isn't it? Now, that is the way SQL and how DBMS work. When you know SQL, you understand the language. When you go to Postgres, you are not learning SQL from the scratch again. The only thing you need to learn is what? How the system works. Not like you want to learn SQL all over again. The only thing you need to learn is, okay, how does this thing work in Postgres? If you go to Oracle, how does it work in Oracle? In MySQL, how does it work here? Not like, oh, you want to start on because they can ask you in an interview, what is this? And you say, I don't know, because that's not what you have been taught. So please don't waste money. A lot of people, I see them wasting money. They will say they learn Postgres, they learn SQL, they learn this one. They will just be collecting money from you. Just learn SQL. No SQL. When you want to go to another RDBMS, you can use YouTube. There was a time that someone I got an interview, right? And the interview said I should use SQLite. I never used SQLite in my life before, right? I never used SQLite before. What I did is that I just went on YouTube, download 10-minute video because I don't like a long video. When a video is getting too long, above 2 hours, I don't like watching it. I just downloaded 10-minute videos how to use SQLite, right? In 11 minutes, I understand how to import data, how to extract it, how to do all those little stuff, how to use the interface. I know SQL already. I know how to do select and all. I know how to do everything before. The interface within 10 minutes, I was able to navigate myself within SQLite. SQLite is also another RDBMS. So you don't need to stress yourself, wasting money to learn different things. Take YouTube, watch how Postgres work, how MySQL work. ask people questions, and you will save your time, money that you are spending here and there, and take your time to also learn yourself as well. It will help you as well. Okay, so that is that on how DBMS. The how DBMS that we are using SSMS, and if this is your very first time of using SSMS, it's not hard, right? It's Microsoft product and it's synced with different most of the Microsoft elements that we are using. So this is the file where you can save your file, right? If you want to save a file, you can save file. If you save a file and you want to open that file, you can come here, go to your file, it will take you to your system, wherever you have that file, you can open it and all, you understand? So, when you open a file, you can only open a file that is saved in as a script, you understand? It will open the file that is saved as a script for you. So that's that. Save, no. Okay, so because of time, we'll not bore ourselves with too much talk. Now, when we talk about database, if this is your very first time of opening SSMS, right? You will not see anything here. All this one, they are the database that I created. Adventure, Analyst Lab, DoBeat, all this one. They are the database that I created myself. In your own, you will not see anything in your own. But if you have created something before, you will see something there. But in case in your own, don't say, this is what I'm seeing in your own is not in my own. It's because me, I've created it. I've been using it for a very long time, right? Now, let's start with database. You will say that this one, database, security, server, everything are in your own. These are what the database administrator always manage. That is their own work. You are not supposed to even be the one doing, but some scenario, you just need to have the knowledge of knowing them. So we have the database and we have some objects like what? We have the security. So under the security, you will see your login, server roles, credential, and this security is where we use what? Who can tell us which language do we use in this security part? Can anybody tell us the language that we use here? Anyone? Which language do we use here? In the security
TCL.
part. TCL. TCL. No, it's not the TCL. No. Any other person? Anyone? DCL? No.
DCL.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Data control language. Yes. Yeah. So the data control language. Yes. So when you talk about grants, because that's where you talk about security, you grant someone an access, you revoke an access. So you use the TCL in that part. So security, you say all these are your objects, the object that comes with your RDBMS. If you go to Postgres, I think Postgres is even more. They have a lot of objects in Postgres. If you are using Postgres, they have a lot of objects, materialized view, and a lot of things over there. So you can also explore Postgres. I've used it in one or two projects that I've done before, but I just like SQL Server because of integration with some other Microsoft product that I use. So that's that. So you by the time you keep on going, you will learn more about all these things later on. So now let's create our first database. Now, to create a database, we are going to say create. Don't forget, create statement is part of what? Data definition language, right? So we say create database. What's the name of the database you want to create? So you can tell us, anybody should just give us any name. What should we name our database? Anybody?
Customer.
Customer. Okay. Cohort 6. Okay, let's go with Cohort 6. Someone says Cohort 6. Okay, so let's go with Cohort 6. Now, we are creating a database called what? Cohort 6. Cohort 6. Cohort 6. Now, if I execute this, so now, before I create the database, now, let's say that because I know some of you are new and you want to explore different things. Now, you say, oh, create database Cohort 6. And you now say, okay, yeah, let me execute. Okay, I need to connect this database first. Okay, so now create database Cohort 6, execute. Now, can you see something? There is an error, incorrect syntax near 6. The reason why, because like I said, I said that we have a lot of rules in SQL. You have a lot of rules in SQL. This database will not create because of the space in between the cohort and 6. You might not know that is what is causing it. In SQL, we don't leave a space with our with what we want to. Is it like an identifier now, or how will I say? We don't leave a space within it. So if I say create code, so you have to put an underscore, or if you want to put a space initially, you have to put it in a what? In a square bracket. You have to put it in what? In a square bracket. But it is not advisable that you use square bracket, because that square bracket is always, it will, when you want to start running your query all the time, putting square brackets, it will take, it will not be easy for you. So it's either you put it like this, or you put an underscore. So I always prefer the underscore. And this work with every other database system that you are using, whether as RDB, Postgres, MySQL, or anything. So let's execute this one now. So let's execute it. So can you see? Data command completed success. We have created a database called courses. So let's check it. So let's go to database here. So let's refresh. So I'm going to refresh now. Click on this thing. So let's refresh. So can you see Cohort 6? Can you see? We have created a database called what? Cohort 6. Now let's open the database. Like I said, the database is what? It's a folder. It's like a folder, right? It's like a folder. If I open it, you will see that inside it, we have what? Database diagram, tables, views, synonyms, programmability. We have different things in a single database. In a single what? Database. Now, when you have multiple database together, what do they call it? When you have multiple database, what do they call that system now? When you have multiple database, what do they call that system? Does anybody have an idea what they call the system? When you have multiple database, what do they call that system?
Data warehouse.
What do they call this? Data warehouse. God bless you. So when you have more than one database, right? So that is what it, because some people will not be confusing themselves. Some people will be confusing themselves with what a database is, what a data warehousing is, or so you don't need to confuse yourself. When you have multiple database, it turns to what? A data warehousing. It's just like your house, you have different sector of the room. You have the toilet, the kitchen, different sector. You understand? Different section of the room. Okay. So it's now become what? A data warehouse, right? So now we have created database for 6, right? And you can see in table, we don't have any tables here. You can start creating tables, right? Creating tables that are related to Cohort 6. Do you understand? You not start creating tables that are related to Cohort 6. You understand? So that is that. So now we have created a database. Now, please, you need to. Someone said that how did I execute? When you write in your script, when you write your script, just click on execute at the top here. You see execute at the top here. See execute here. You see execute. Just click on the execute. You don't need the reason why I highlighted it is because you will understand later. Don't worry, you will understand later. So make sure that you highlight it and execute. So this is how to execute. So when I execute, say that the database already exists. So I cannot create same database again. Okay, so that is that. Now the next thing is what? Now, please, for beginners, please let's pay attention to this part. It is very, very important because a quite number of people will start messaging that this thing is not working the way you said it, So please let's pay attention because I will not answer you again when you did not pay attention. Okay, so now it is important that whenever you open SSMS, the default database that SSMS will always open for you is the master database. And the master database is what? Is the default database. In Postgres, I think they call it public. That is the name of the default database in Postgres. Because I've used Postgres, before too. Now, here it is what? Master. That is the default database. You must specify the database you want to use. For example, now, if I said select If I say select all from, let's say from select all from, let me look at a table that, okay, select all from or let me say from transactions. Now, and I execute this. It will tell you that invalid object name transaction. Why? Because number one, it doesn't understand where the transaction is coming from. You understand? The reason why it's not because transaction does not exist, it exists, but on which database am I talking about? Do you understand? Now, in the master table, which master data in default database master, there's nothing like transaction in that default. So you must specify the database you want to use before you start executing your query. Do you understand? So now what do? You say use what? I'm going to say use cohort 6. When I say use cohort 6, please let's pay attention. Look at this place. What do you see here? Master, right? Now let me execute this now. Let me execute it. Execute. If I execute it, do you see what happened here? It changes from what? Master to what? To cohort 6. Now, it is not telling you that you are now using the cohort 6 database. Hello? It is not telling you that what you are not using what? The cohort 6 database. Another way you can do it is that you can come here. Come and, just click on the database that you want to use. You understand? You can come here, but, because I want to teach you how to use the language, that's why I say use. I use the word use. You understand? So that you learn how to use the language. Okay, so we have now used the cohort 6. Now we can now start creating it, tables and other information in our database. If you do not specify these cohort 6, if you want to go and create tables, you just see that you will not see the table. When you now start running cohort 6, you see that you don't have anything inside the table. So please pay attention to to the database that you are managing or you are using when creating it. Okay, so now we have created the database. So let's quickly see some of the data.
Hello?
Okay, someone trying to come attention.
Everyone is complaining about how your screen is not syncing with your voice, I mean. So you are way ahead and your screen is slightly behind.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So, okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me check whether it's the next network or it's my voice. Okay. So thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So, please, what can you see at the moment? What can you see at the moment?
Yeah, just
What can you see?
all of us. Like I'm just looking at the chat. Okay. Are you clicking on? Okay, cool. Now I'm on the SM. Is it SSM? Oh, but the SQL now. I only see use cohort 6, and you
Okay.
have the cursor just underneath. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what did I type now? What did I type now?
Okay, you just have 6. Okay, create. We just typed now. You just type create right now.
Okay. It's fine. So, it's fine. I think it's. Thank you very much for calling my attention. Okay, so now we have created the database. Now we need to specify the database we want to use, which is cohort 6, right? Which is a cohort 6. Now, the next thing we need to do now is that we want to start creating our tables, right, inside the database. Like I said, cohort 6 is just a folder or database, as we call it. Inside the cohort 6, we don't have any tables. You can see that we don't have any tables inside it. Now, let's start creating tables inside the cohort 6. Okay, so the first table we are going to create is the students database, right? So now let's create a table. We'll say create table. So before I go on to the create, can someone just tell us what are the... Okay, don't worry. Let's move on. So let's create a table. We'll call it student information. Can you see my screen? I hope I'm not too fast. Can you see my screen? I hope I'm not too fast. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, still can see. I think there's still that slight delay, but it's better now.
Okay. Okay, so we are creating student information table, right? So we say create table student information. So I'm going to say, so let's start creating the information. Let's say student ID. Let's say student ID, just like you all have your student ID. So the student ID is what? So we want to define the student ID as what? As an integer, So let's say comma. So the next one is what? We'll say student name, student full name, or let's just say full name. We don't need to put student. Let's just say full name. Full name. So full name is what? Is varchar. So let's say 50. So this 50 means what? The length of the character in that column. So that is what the 50 means. So let's say address. Now, when I type address, you will see something happen. It is underlining it for me that address and is highlighting it in blue for me, meaning that I cannot use this address. It is telling me that, not like I cannot use it, but it's telling me that I should not use it because address is part of the keyword that SQL have highlighted. So whenever you see a keyword, you should not use that keyword. So that is why it's highlighting it for me. So what I can do here is I will say, let's say home address. So I'll say home address. So let's say home address is let's say 100, comma. Let's say home address. Then the next one is let's say DOB. DOB is what? Date of birth. So that's its dates. I hope I'm not too fast.
Because it's still not syncing. Like it's not syncing.
Yeah, maybe you need to unshare and share again. Maybe I don't know.
Okay. Let me stop sharing and share again then. Let me check my internet connection as well.
Actually, while you're still doing that, is it beneficial to do all this in Python instead of like these apps? Is it like beneficial or is there a problem when you do it like that? I've seen someone do that.
Sorry, come again with the question.
Oh, I was just asking if it's also beneficial to basically run SQL on Python. Like, is that a thing?
Python is different from SQL. I hope you know that. Like the language is different.
Yeah, nah, that I understand 100%. I'm just asking if Python can also, like in Python, you could like run these queries. Is there a way to do that
Oh,
and kind
okay.
of mix the
Okay, you
two?
can do the same. Yeah, you can do similar activities, right? You can do similar activities in Python, but the way you will write it is different. You get. Well, you can do the same thing like creating a file, creating a database, creating, you can do all those stuff with Python, but it's not going to be the same language you are using there. Do you get?
Yeah, nah, got you. Thanks, man.
Okay, Manasti, your hand is raised. Any question? Piper, you have one.
So my first question is for the ID, could you have used the tiny int instead of just that generalization for int? Then for the home address, I don't think I understood what you were saying with the explanation you were giving with the address.
Okay. So for the integer, you said should I have used what? I didn't get that.
You said there were different types of integers. You talked of small int,
Yeah,
tiny int, and big int. So
yeah.
if just writing int generic, could you have specified like gone lower since it's an ID? So obviously it's not going to have like thousands of numbers. So could you have just
Okay.
used maybe like any of that?
You could have you could have used anyone, but the reason why I'm using the generic is because some people here does not, some people might not. So those small ints and what's it called? the big int or tiny int, I'm not sure that it works with every RDBMS. So that's why I'm using the generic one. Do you understand? So because some people might not be using SSMS, some people might be using Postgres, MySQL, and I'm not sure if those tiny ints or whatever works again. So that's why I'm just using the generic. Okay, for the address, so please confirm if what I'm saying is aligning with what I'm typing at the moment. Is it aligning? Hello. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Okay, I need you to just type something way different just so we can see.
Okay. So let me just type something now. I just type home. What did I type?
Nothing yet. Now, okay, I see home now.
Okay, it's fine. All right. So there might be a little bit delay maybe because of the time, because of the network. So please let's just bear with that distance and all. Okay, so Piper. So what I'm saying is that if you realize that there are some keywords, there are some words that I type, it is highlighted in blue. Whenever you see a word that is highlighted in blue, those are keywords. They are called syntax. These are words that SQL has been, they have highlighted it as a keyword. They call them reserved word. So all these reserved word, you don't use them when you are creating something. So that's what I'm saying, that for address, you should not use the address because address is highlighted. So what you can do is that just have home address or full address so that it will not highlight it as, it will not see it as a reserved word. Do you understand now, Piper?
Yes.
All right, okay. So then let's have gender. So for gender, we will use char. Then I will say uh, 1. Okay, so now let's create this database. So now you can see create table, student ID, all these are the things that we want to create. This is our data structure. So now let's execute this. So let's execute. So you can see we have executed it. Then I'm going to say select all from students information. So you can see now we have the student ID, full name, home address, DOB, gender. We have it. So you can see that these are the information that we have in our table that we just created. So you can see that it is very simple. SQL is very, very simple to do. So it is very, very simple to do. So now, after creating this thing, so for example, now let's assume that after you create this table, now you now want to, maybe you miss something, you want to add one more column, or you want to remove a column. So how do you do that? So for you to add a new column, maybe you want to add any, so who can tell us maybe one more column to add? Anybody? Who can suggest a column for us to add? Who can suggest a column for us to add? Anybody? Any column to add, or any information that you think that is missing? Any information?
Phone number.
Phone number. Okay, good. So we want to add a phone number. So you cannot just come here and come and say, oh, comma, and put phone number here. It will not work like that. It doesn't work like that. So what we are going to do is that we are going to use, so which statement? Okay, don't worry, because you guys might not know at the moment. So now, so we will use the alter statement, right, to add a new column to this table, because whenever we are talking about structure, now please let me explain this part very well again. When you are talking about data structure or data definition, we are talking about the structure. When you say structure, it means the columns header that you are creating, or the column you are creating. Those are what we mean by the data structure itself, data definition. So please let's understand the difference between data manipulation and data definition. It's very, very important. Now, if you want to create a new column now, we'll use what the alter statement. You say alter what table, student information, then what add what add phone number. So phone number is what? So let's say voucher. Let's say phone number should not be more than 20 digits. So voucher. Okay, so let's execute this. So you only execute this, don't execute it with what you have done before. So execute. So completed. So let's select this one. So you can see now that the phone number is there now. So you can see phone number is there. Now, maybe you added another, maybe the phone number column, you don't need it, right? And you want to remove it. How do you remove it? The same approach. So just say alter table, create information, drop column, phone number. So can you see? So let's execute this. Execute. So you can see that we have dropped the column phone number. If you need it, you add it. If you don't want it, you remove it. So that is how data structure works. Can you see? That's how data structure works. Now, the next thing that we are going to, we'll look at some data manipulation. Then I'll also show you. Okay, so now we want to insert record inside this table. We want to insert record. So let's say insert into student information, right? So I'm going to say, I'm going to open. So I'm going to say, because I want to insert record into all this information, right? I want to insert record into all this information. So you don't necessarily need to specify the column headers. But if you want to pick a particular column you want to insert record into, so you have to specify the column header. So for this one, I don't need that. So I'll say student ID 1, comma, full name. So full name is what? Let's say Ramat Alakija, right? So whenever you are writing a string, you put it in a quotation, in a single quotation. So address. So let's say Kenya. Date of birth. So date of birth is. So whenever you're writing the date of birth, you put it in a quotation as well. And there's a specific way you can write date of birth in SQL. So it has to start with the year. So let's say 2016, then followed by month, 05, then followed by date. So this is how you write. Then the gender. So the gender is what? So let's say female. She's a female, right? So female. So I think that's all. Student ID, full name, home address. Okay. Maybe we should just say this Kenya is like a country name. So let's just use an address, like let's say Lagos. Let's just say Lagos. For example. Now there's something I need to put here. Values. So before you insert the value, before you insert this, you will have to put values here. So let's add one more information. So let's say comma. After this one, you say comma. So ID 2. So let's say 2. Let's say River State. River 2005. So if you give me, let's see. Yeah. Michael. So how is that? So yeah. Okay, so please, can you see my screen? Am I still? Hope you can. Hope I'm not too fast. Can you see my screen? No, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Nobody's talking now.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So now let's execute this. So let's execute it. Highlight everything, then execute. Okay. So now there's a problem. He said that string binary data will be truncated into with DBO column gender truncated with truncated value F. So does anybody know the reason why this is not successfully executed? Anybody? Anybody? Does anybody know why this is not successful? Because there's a problem here. Does anybody know why this is not successfully executed? Anyone? Oluyemi. Okay, let me hear from Oluyemi. Oluyemi, you can go on, please. Okay, I think Oluyemi is not answering. Anybody can go on. Please, time is not by our side. Anybody can go on because of gender. So the gender is supposed to be one. So, yeah. So that is the reason, because of the gender character. So because when we define this gender, we define it that these data types must be what must be one. So that is why, when we are putting it here, we are saying female, female, male. So it's going to throw an error for us. So that is why. So I intentionally do that so that you will know that these data types has their meaning. They have what they are doing there. It's not just that we are typing varchar, we are typing char and all. So you need to understand that this data type have their meaning. Okay, so we need to change this one to what? To F. Change this one to what? To F as well. Then change this to what? To A. Okay, so let's execute now. So three rows affected, so let's execute. Okay, so you can see now that we have executed, we started our data to this record. So now let's quickly look at some data manipulation. So we'll just quickly, because of time is not by our side again. So we'll quickly look at some data manipulation. So let's say that you want to probably modify a particular information, right? So for example, now let's say we want to change Piper to, let's say, want to change Piper to Ruth Patrick, right? Maybe the name changes. So we want to change our name to Ruth Patrick. So how do we change the name? So we use the data manipulation function like the update. So say updates. So we say updates. We say update student information. Then we say set what? Set full name, where Piper, set full name. So set full name equals what? Equals Boots Patrick. Here, what? Where student's ID, equals to 2. So that's why the student ID is always a unique, so that whenever you want to do changes, it can be easy for you to make changes. So let's say where student ID equal to 2. So now let's execute this. So let's execute this. So you can see one role affected. So now let's check. So you can see now that Piper has changed from to what to Patrick. Same thing if you want to change the home address, if you want to change anything, so you can see that it has changed. Okay, so if you want to delete, maybe you want to delete a particular information. So you also use, so you can say delete, you can say delete from where what? Where student ID, equals to, let's say you want to delete root and where. So let's say 2. So delete from student ID, where student ID equals to 2. Let's see, let's check it now. So you see that we have just grammar and mind endings, right? Now, we need to understand something also, that there is difference between delete, truncate, and drop. Please, you need to understand the difference. So truncate and drop, they belong to what? Which command do they belong to? Truncate and drop belongs to which command? Truncate and drop belongs to which command?
SQL.
DDL, right? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And delete belongs to what? Delete belongs to what?
ML.
DML. So what is the difference between, what's the difference between the 3 of them? Anybody? What's the difference between the 3 of them? Anyone? What's the difference between delete, drop, and truncate? What's the difference? Anybody? Anybody? What's the difference
For
between the, okay, go on.
for truncate,
Okay.
I think it's a DDL language, so you are working on the database. So I think it's permanent. But for delete, that is just manipulation. I don't think it's permanent.
And drop.
Drop is DDL too, so that should be permanent.
So what did they use drop for?
If you want to drop a, for instance, if you want to drop a particular column, so you can just use drop and remove it.
I don't understand. If you want to drop something at a particular moment, just use drop. So if you want to delete at a particular moment, what do you do? What would that do
No,
for
I
you?
said column. For instance, if we don't want date of death anymore, you can just drop it.
I just drop it. Okay, so delete. What does delete do?
Delete looks like it's across rows. I don't know, I'm be wrong.
Any other person?
Delete removes like a specific row, while truncate like removes the entire row, then drop, delete table.
God bless you. You said it exactly the way it is. So just like she said, delete a specific row. Truncate delete the entire row, and drop delete the entire thing. But let me explain it very well so that you understand it. Understand? So that you get it, you understand it very well. That's why I have to come to Excel to come and showcase it for you guys. So that's why I come here. Now, when you say delete, when you say delete, when you say delete means that, oh, you want to delete a specific information. For example, I say that, okay, let's delete student ID 2. If I come here and I delete it and I said this is what delete means. I have deleted student ID 2. That is delete. You are deleting a specific rows of information. Do you understand? You are deleting a specific rows of information. Now, if I said truncate. If I said truncate, right? Truncate means that I am not deleting the table structure. The table structure still remains the same. Student ID, name, unit is still there, but I want to delete what? The entire record, right? That is what truncate means. Means that what? Leave the structure for me. Leave everything here for me the way it is, but delete the record inside it. That is what truncate is. And when you say drop means that I don't even need anything again. Just what? Delete everything. Just delete what? Everything for me. That is what drop is. Do you understand? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Do we get? Okay. Right. So that is the explanation of drop. Okay. So that is that. Is there any other thing that I need to touch? Okay. So the last thing that I will talk to you, I would like to touch is how do you. So for example, now let's say that you have a data and you don't want to be ingesting the data manually, right? You don't want to be writing a start statement all the time, right? So how do you ingest data? How do you ingest bulk data? So there is a statement that we can use to ingest bulk data. So let me see if I can get that as this. Okay. So for example, now let's say that you have this data and you want to ingest this data. You don't want to be writing, insert statement all over and all over again. You don't want to be writing start statement all the time. So there's a statement that you can actually use. Where is that? Okay, so you can use the bulk insert statement to ingest the data. So for example, now, so we want to let me just okay. So now we want to ingest this data. See this data. We want to ingest it, but we don't want to be writing it one after the other. Insert statement. So we can just the first thing you need to do is to create. So let's create the table. So let's create it. I will say create table. So create table. So let's call the table name sales. That's the table name. Then let's create the table structure. So other ID is what? That integer. Region ID is an integer. Product ID is an integer. Segment is a varchar. So let's say unit sold. Unit sold is an integer. Then other date is was. Okay, please, are you still following? Are you guys still following? Are you guys still following me?
Yes.
Okay. So let's execute. So execute. So you can see we have executed this one. So now let's say select call from from sales. So you can see that we have the structure already there. So you see we have the same structure with what we have here. Can you see? So now we want to ingest this data. You don't want to be saying insert. Understand? So you can use the bulk insert state. So we can say we'll come back here. So let me paste this statement. So we use this statement. So now, what does the bulk insert statement does is that it's going to help you to insert the data, right? So now bulk insert, that is the state, that is the syntax from where? From your data source. So you need to specify your data source, where your data coming from. C user, location, file name, and all. So now let's go. Where is my data coming from? My data is coming from here. So just right click this one, then go to properties, click on properties. So this is the location of the file. This is the location of the file. So I'm going to click on, I will highlight it. So I will highlight it. So you can see the C. So I will highlight it, copy this part, then come back to my SSMS here. Then you see where we have C user to this location. So you can just remove this one. So let me just remove this one from here to this place, then paste it. Now, the reason why my own is long like this is because I have multiple folder. That's why this one is long. So in your own case, it might not be as long as this. You understand? I will share this data set with you to try with it, to try it with. So in your own case, it might not be as long like this. So, but in my own, because I have folder inside another folder. So that is why it is long like this. So now, the next thing is to remove this location name. You understand? So because I need to get the name of the file. So what's the name of the file? Sales. Can you see sales? So copy it. Then come to the location file name, remove this one and put it here. Then .csv. It must be a CSV file, please. It must be what? It must be a CSV file, .csv. Okay, so now let me explain this one. With field terminator, what is field terminator? Comma. So anytime you specify the field delimiter. So you know CSV is what? CSV is what? A command delimited value. So because we are using CSV, so we use field terminator to be what? To be n. Now we have /n, which is what? To specify the new line. The new line, this is what it means. The new line. Then first row. First row is what? Is 2. Meaning that our data is starting from the second row. So that is what the 2 means. You know, the first row is what? Is our header. Second row is what? Is where the data is starting from. And that is why we are specifying 2 here. First row is equal to 2. To mean, specify the number where data begin in the file. You can see that's where the data is starting from. Okay, so now the next thing is to what? So, you know, we need to close, because we start with, so we need to close this. We need to close this. So now let's execute it. So I will highlight everything and why is there any question? Still not sinking time. I don't understand. Someone said, are you guys still not seeing my screen? Or is there an issue? Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen, but it's not syncing. That's just the issue.
But nobody is saying anything now. You guys are just quiet and nobody complain. Even the people that their mic is not muted. So if I do not come here now, nobody will say anything. You guys should stop now. How will I know if the class is syncing or not?
I have a feeling that it's gonna be much better on the recording because it'll be coming straight from you.
All right.
So maybe the best thing you can do maybe is you can type, and then when everything is there, then you can explain when the whole query is done.
All right. Fine. So someone said the class looked like intermediate class. So it's not, this is not intermediate, right? It's not intermediate at all. When it comes to, well, the only thing here is just that you mostly, when you are doing data analysis class, people doesn't teach data definition. or they don't teach properly. They don't teach people properly data definition language, right? And when you are seeing people teaching you, you will feel like, oh, maybe it's too complex for your level. And these are the things that you just need to know. Nobody is going to teach, or even if you go to some paid classes, they might not teach you all these things. So it might be looking like an intermediate, but I can tell you for good that I wish I knew this when I started my own. When I even started my own journey, nobody even teach me all this one. I learned all these things in doing self-learning. You understand? But these are still beginners class, because when you talk about data injection, what we are doing is still ingesting data into the database. You have not even gone far. When you now get to stop procedure, what we now say, we say you have gotten even stop procedure. Those when you now get to those places, you say that you have gotten to expert level. No, that is when even you get into the intermediate level. You understand? So these are still much beginner, and this is what you actually need as in your first class. It's not, the class is properly structured, right? It's properly structured for the person that has a question. So what we're just trying to do is to insert data. I think that's just a beginning. If you don't have data in your database, is there anything you want to do? You cannot work with a data now, with database. If you don't have data, how do you want to work? There's nothing you can do. So this is the first step you need to go through. You understand? So this is the first step you need to go through. I'm just showing you different method in which you can ingest data into your database and all. So now we have specified a path where the data is coming from: field terminator, row terminator, first row, then you want to do execute. So execute. Showing an error. Why is it showing an error? Near to. Okay, so let me put it like this. Okay, so let's execute it now. Okay, so we need to close this file. So before you can execute, make sure you close this file. Don't save. So you need to close this file. Is there any question? Please, can you explain the insert data again? Right. Okay. So sorry, so I think someone has a question. Can you explain the insert data again? I don't understand. Okay, which part? Which of the insert parts? Okay, so normally you could have start. So I want to ask a question. Do you prefer writing inserts? You have about 1 million of data, and you want to be using inserts into student, writing it one after the other every time. You want to write one. How many times? How many hours will it take you to be writing all this one? Why can't you just? So now, what I just want to do is, instead of using this manual method, why not use another method that will insert a data for you at once? That is what we are just trying to do here. So we created what? We created the table, right? Created a table. Then we are using this bulk insert. Bulk insert, this is the table name that we created, which is the sales. Then from what? Your location where the file is coming from, right? Where your file is coming from. Like I said, in your own case, it might not be as long as this. This is just my system parts. Your own can just be one folder, because me, I have folder inside another folder. That is why it is long like this. Just go to your file, right click, do a right click, and go to properties, then click on location. You will see the file path. If you look at my own, it's because where am I coming from? I'm coming from this OneDrive data analytic class. I open it. Data analytic class is a folder. When I open it, is another folder again. SQL is another folder again. You can see that's why the path is long like that. This is another folder again, another folder again. That's why the path is long. In your own case, it might not be like that. You understand? In your own case, might not. That's why I say that the folder path is long like this. In your own case, it might just be one folder. You don't have to stress yourself. Then the name of the file, then .csv. That is all. Then field terminator, I told you, because it's a CSV, is a comma. Row terminator, this specify the next line, and first row means that the line that the data is starting from. So now let's execute. Execute. You can see 137 rows affected. Now let's do a select. So select all from sales. Execute. So can you see? You can see that we have been able to ingest the data just at once, instead of inserting one after the other. This is just an example. Okay, so this is where we'll stop today. This is where we'll stop today. Yeah, it might look like a lot because this is your very first time, but I'm just telling you that this is just the beginning. You have not even done anything. This is just the very first bit. This is just the beginning of everything. Okay, so let's entertain questions. It's already 12 o'clock. Let's entertain questions. I don't understand the bulk insert process. Can you explain again? I think I just explained it now. I didn't get the bulk insert, the filter method. I think I just explained again. I just explained that. Is there anything you still don't understand? Piper, Ramat, you guys are up. Manasti, do you guys have questions? So let's just entertain questions now. Okay, please go on. So the beginning is fire. The intermediate will be hot. This document can be shared. Okay, so Piper, let's answer your question. Let's do question and answer section. So any question? Let's go on. Okay,
The
I will
bulk
miss you
in
guys. Okay, go on.
that bulk insert.
What is it?
Your screen, please go to bulk insert.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so in that from aspect, is it that you just copied everything from properties and put there? That's what I want to understand from the from aspect.
Yes. If you see, let me show you. Everything is from property. So if you come here, see, if you come here, just come and see, highlight everything here. From your properties, highlight everything is here. See, can you see? So the only thing you just need to do, highlight everything, copy it, and I'm going to do it here. So I will not put it here. So let me just put it here. This is just it from, right? Paste it here. Now, the only thing that you need to do here is what is to put quotation, right? Put quotation at the front, then at the back, right? Now, if you run this one, it will not work because you still need to specify the name of the file. So you need to specify the name of the file. So you can put another is it backslash or forward slash now? You put it there, you specify the name of the file, which is what? Sales.csv. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, that is clear. Also for your field terminator, is it because it was a CSV file? So obviously it's comma. That's why you put the comma there. Because we first
Exactly. That's the
Excel.
reason. That's the reason. It's because it's a CSV file. That's it. That's the reason.
Terminator.
What did you say?
I don't
What did you
understand
say?
that one.
What did you
The
say?
row terminator, because that's the comma for the field terminator, but the row terminator, I don't understand why it's /n.
Okay, so if you only people that knows Python, right? People that knows Python a little bit, at least. Even me, too, I don't know Python, no, but at least the first class that I did make me understand what, because me too, when I started learning it, I found it difficult to understand what this /n means. But when you know Python, when you have a basic knowledge of Python, you understand what this row terminator means. So what row terminator means is that the row terminator is specifying the new line. Do you understand? It's specifying what? The new line. So if let's assume that 1, 2 show let's say custom enterprise unit is, let's say unit is what is 6. Now let's say that this is the This is the first line. To specify the next line, because in Python, right? In Python, for you to specify the next line, you have to use this code to specify the next line. Do you understand? You can't just say, oh, next. It's just because you guys are not seeing it as a CSV. You guys are seeing it as what? As rows and column in Excel, but it is not the way it is. Do you understand? What you are saying in Excel is not actually the way a CSV file is in real. A CSV file is just like a note. What I say, it's just like a note. So inside that note, how do you specify the next line? Or let me see if I can. Maybe in a notebook. Let's say a notepad. Let's say a notepad. I don't know how I will specify this thing. But because of time, because I need to attend to something, please. I need to go now, sir. So time is not really by my side again. So, but the end is specifying the next line. Piper, I hope you understand. So I need to quickly go now.
So that,
Go now.
sorry. So that means if we want to use that bulk insert, we should just know that, okay, we're just going to put the comma and then we're just going to put the slash and like it's automatic. Then the only thing we do is
compulsory. It's compulsory.
Okay.
It's compulsory. Yeah, it's compulsory. I can send you guys the code, or I will send you the file so you can make use of it. It's compulsory. Okay, another question? Another question?
Hello.
Okay,
Hello,
so
I
guys,
have a
please, I need
question.
to leave now. Please, you can drop all your other questions on the channels. I will pick them up if I can answer them. Sorry, guys, I have to leave now. So,
Thank you.
your quiz, you will get your quiz later on after the class. Your quiz will be sent. If you have any other question, just send it to me. Just send it on the group chat. Later, guys. Bye for now.
All right. Thank you, Falarunsho.
Thank
you for the
you.
call. Thank you very much. So see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day. There'll be a class tomorrow.